Top story, Pakistan has reiterated that there's no strong evidence against 2611 mastermind Hafiz Saeed. In an exclusive interview to NewsX, Pakistan's High Commissioner to India Abdul Basit has said that Hafiz Saeed is under house arrest and that Pakistan will take action if any strong evidence comes up against him.
Well, first of all, I totally agree with you, and Pakistan's position has always been that nothing can justify terrorism. And we condemn it, in all its forms and manifestations. Now, regarding the Mumbai attack trial, I can tell you that Pakistan is very, very serious to take this whole trial to its logical conclusion. But in order to do that, I think both Pakistan and India need to cooperate with each other. And we must retain that spirit of cooperation, whether it is Mumbai or you mentioned Pathankot. So we all understand that. But in order to move forward, you would agree with me that there's a requirement of cooperation between our two countries. We need to talk to each other. We need to, but on Mumbai, I can tell you that the two governments are in touch with each other, and there has been exchange of communications between our two countries, and we are working on that. But at the end of the day, my humble suggestion to my Indian friends would be that let's not, preempt the code. Let's wait and see how this whole trial goes forward.
The Indian authorities say, when you say spirit of cooperation, the Indian authorities say that 90% of the evidence on Mumbai attacks lie within Pakistan. Pakistan keeps seeking evidence from India. But if there is a sincere and honest investigation that is carried within Pakistan, it would only be a matter of days that the guilty could be brought to book.
No, I don't think so, because you would appreciate that the crime was committed in India, whereas the trial is underway in Pakistan.
But planned in Pakistan.
But it all adds complexity, to the whole thing. It's not as simple as one may wish to think. So it's a complex case, and we do need cooperation. And unless we have some, full cooperation from the Indian side, I doubt how we can move forward.
What do you mean by cooperation?
It took 4 years for our judicial commission to visit India post Mumbai attack. Then we need witnesses in India to appear in our court, before the court, for cross-examination and so on and so forth. Then there was, some material evidence is required, which needs to be produced before the court as well.
What about evidence against Hafiz Saeed that has been provided?
No, Hafiz Saeed.
There are dossiers after dossiers that have been given to
No,
Pakistan.
Hafiz Saeed is not being tried on Mumbai. As far as Hafiz Saeed is concerned, you know that we have put him under house arrest, and that is in pursuance of our National Action Plan, which is being implemented across the country and across the board. And if there is any solid evidence against him, obviously he cannot also escape the law of the land.
Well, Lashkar-e-Taiba was the outfit that carried out the 2611 attacks. The Lashkar-e-Taiba, now Jamaat-ud-Dawa, is headed by Hafiz Saeed. So how can you say that?
So first of all, I would not like to jump the gun. Let the court decide as to whether or not those 7 accused and are being tried, they are guilty of that particular attack. No, Jamaat-ud-Dawa, Fly Insaniyat Foundation, all these organizations are under observation, and if we find any evidence, as I said earlier, the law of the land will move against them. As for Hafiz Saeed, may I also add here, look, that we all know that what India's position is. But at the same time, we need hard evidence against him. We arrested him, put him under house arrest in the past as well, but court could not find that evidence strong enough, and he was freed by the court. So we would hope that if there is any evidence, that would be shared with us in order to strengthen our hands.
Why is he under house arrest now and on that list on the entry ban list or exit ban list?
So as I said, we are, this is pursuant to our National Action Plan, which is now being implemented across the board.
Well, so it does look like Pakistan will remain in denial about its role in exporting terror to India. Of course, the Pakistan High Commissioner there asked repeatedly by NewsX to explain why Pakistan has refused to take action so far, despite India producing sufficient evidence and submitting dossier after dossier on the role of Hafiz Saeed and Zakir Rahman Lakhvi in 26/11, the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks that left 166 Indians dead. But all you hear the Pakistanis say every time is that we need more evidence against Hafiz Saeed, we need more evidence against Zakir Rahman, need more evidence against Maulana Masood Azhar, whose outfit, the Jaish-e-Mohammed, has been responsible for so many attacks carried out on Indian soil, including the Uri army-based terror attack. But the response from Pakistan each time is the same: we need more evidence. The question is, will anything ever be enough to convince Pakistan about the role of its own people in perpetuating and perpetrating terror across the border? All right, we have been getting lots of reactions to that exclusive interview of the Pakistan envoy. Let's listen into a few.
Even terrorists caught in India, at times they go scot-free without any evidence. But in case of Pakistan, in matter concerning terrorism, what kind of white lie they serve is widely known. This denial is a kind of denial they used to give for Osama bin Laden.
Unfortunately, that is why the democracy has never matured in Pakistan. The way the Pakistani army has got this upper hand in deciding the issues, we say this India, that is creating the problems in Pakistan.
All right, so of course India's position is very clear that Pakistan needs to act against all those terrorists who have carried out attacks on India, killed our people. This is the biggest reason why relations between the two countries have derailed over the last few years, even though repeated attempts have been made by the Indian government, including by Prime Minister Modi himself, to reach out to Pakistan, extend a hand of friendship, and yet every time India has faced betrayal at the hands of Pakistan, with one terror outfit or another operating from Pakistani soil, carrying out terror attacks here in India and killing our people. And of course, India's stand now is very clear that terror and talks cannot go hand in hand. But the question is Pakistan ever going to wake up to the reality that it is widely recognized and seen as the perpetrator of terror, not just across the border, but in many parts of the world, with so many experts pointing out that most of the terror attacks that have taken place, even in the West over the last couple of years, have had some deep connection to Pakistan. Pakistan, of course, now widely seen by many around the world as the nerve center and the hotbed of global terror. But clearly, the Pakistani establishment remains in denial. More evidence of that, the latest interview given by the Pakistan envoy to NewsX. All right, let's now get more reactions to that interview. We are now joined on the phone line by former Army Chief General Shankar Roy Chaudhary. Sir, thanks for speaking to NewsX. Sir, your first reaction to this interview given to NewsX by the Pakistani envoy. The denial on Pakistan's part seems to just simply refuse to go away, because no matter how much evidence India places before them, their response every time is just the same: we need more, not enough to act against these terrorists.
Well, that's a very long-standing story. Pakistan will not accept any amount of evidence you produce. So that's really no surprise. Mr. Basit that has been the consistent line of other Pak High Commissioners also. So that's nothing to be surprised at. As far as we are concerned, both these people are terrorists, and we will deal with them accordingly if we get our hands on them.
Right. So now you're, of course, an army man, and even the army has always maintained that, the political process will take its own course. And there is often this talk about how dialogue is the only way out. But the question before India is, how do you deal with a neighbor that is hell-bent on bleeding you, that will perhaps, without compunction violate the human rights of its own people and still try and play the victim before the global community? And then no matter how much evidence you present before them, it's never enough. So how do you really deal with a neighbor like that? And the question is, what is the way forward?
No, you don't deal with a neighbor. You keep on talking to your neighbor on multiple channels. In the meanwhile, you go ahead and eliminate the terrorists that you know exist. If you get your hands on them, if India gets their hands on these terrorists, whom we know to be terrorists, whether other people accept it or not, we will eliminate them. Meanwhile, talks on various channels can continue. That doesn't make much of a difference.
Right. So now, of course, on several occasions, the government of India has reached out to the Pakistani establishment. Prime Minister Modi himself has been personally invested in the peace process with Pakistan. He made so many special gestures, including that unprecedented stop in Lahore to greet the Pakistani Prime Minister on his birthday. And yet, every time Pakistan let us down, every time, those peace overtures made by India were snubbed by Pakistan, which followed them up with one terror attack after another. So the question really is, how do you think the Indian government needs to deal with this? Of course, the stand at the moment is very clear. Terror and talks cannot go together. All right, we seem to have lost the line there too. General Shankar Roy Chaudhary, we will get you more reactions to that exclusive interview by the Pakistan envoy to India, Abdul Basit.